Inner Light, Esoteric Wisdom for the Soul's Ascent, is a contemplative space devoted to unveiling the hidden teachings that have guided mystics, seekers, and sages throughout the ages, leading you on the shadow, the dangers and temptations of the Book of Abramelin. Welcome, listener, to a journey into the mysterious and treacherous corridors of Western magic. Today, we shall travel together into the heart of one of the most enigmatic and perilous texts in occult literature, the Book of Abramelin the Mage. This is not merely a book of spells or a manual for dabblers. It is a profound, demanding, and, some would say, dangerous spiritual undertaking. Its pages have allured and unsettled readers for centuries, promising enlightenment and power at a cost that is, perhaps, higher than many anticipate. We shall explore the history, the structure, and especially the hazards, psychological, spiritual, magical, and social, woven through the Book of Abramelin. We'll meet historical figures who attempted its operation, reflect upon its warnings, and discover why, even today, it continues to fascinate and frighten. Part 1. The Genesis of a Grimoire. Let us cast our minds back to the late Middle Ages. Europe is a land of religious tension, superstition, and upheaval. Amidst this, a Jewish scholar known as Abraham of Worms chronicles his journey, his search for truth, and his encounter with a mysterious Egyptian mage, Abramelin. The book that bears his name is not a mere collection of charms and incantations. Instead, it is a spiritual treatise, a blend of Kabbalistic wisdom, folk magic, and medieval mysticism. Its central promise is the achievement of direct contact with one's holy guardian angel, and through that, dominion over the so-called kings and dukes of hell. But the book is replete with cautions, for the path is fraught with peril. This grimoire remained in obscurity for centuries, passed from hand to hand, copied in secrecy. In the 19th century, it was translated into French and later into English by S.L. MacGregor Mathers, a luminary of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Its influence upon Western occultism, particularly through figures such as Aleister Crowley, cannot be overstated. Today, the Book of Abramelin is widely available, but its dangers have not diminished. Indeed, they may be greater, as the traditional safeguards and communities have largely faded from view. The structure and demands of the operation. The heart of the Book of Abramelin is its famed operation, a lengthy and arduous process of purification and ritual. The work is divided into 3 books. The first recounts Abraham's journey and the necessity of humility and preparation. The second presents the operation itself, a process lasting from 6 months to a year and a half. The third contains the notorious magical squares that promise all manner of boons. The operation is exacting. The practitioner must withdraw from the world, residing in a space reserved solely for the work. Only a child assistant and servants may provide company. The requirements are uncompromising: daily prayers, regular fasting, ritual bathing, abstinence from sexual activity and intoxicants, and the maintenance of a pure mind and body. The ultimate aim is the knowledge and conversation of the holy guardian angel, an experience described as nothing less than union with the divine aspect of oneself. Only upon achieving this exalted state may the magician command the infernal spirits and employ the magical squares with safety. But every step of the way, the text warns of the risks. The path is not for the faint-hearted, nor for those seeking shortcuts. Part 2. The Dangers of the Path. Let us now consider the psychological perils. To embark upon the Abramelin operation is to embrace solitude. For months on end, the practitioner is to live apart, deprived of the comforts and distractions of ordinary life. The days are marked by repetition, prayers at prescribed hours, rituals, abstinence, and the constant effort to maintain purity of thought. Modern psychology is clear about the dangers of such isolation. Humans are social creatures. When deprived of contact, the mind can become a breeding ground for anxiety, depression, and even psychosis. Sensory deprivation and monotony can induce hallucinations, paranoia, and a distorted sense of self. The operation's demand for purity can foster obsession. Some practitioners become compulsive, washing their hands excessively, developing rigid routines, or falling into patterns of self-reproach. The boundary between devotion and neurosis can swiftly blur. Aleister Crowley's diaries from Boleskine House are illustrative. He writes of mood swings, nightmares, a sense of being watched, and a growing unease. Contemporary accounts from would-be practitioners, often shared pseudonymously online, echo similar themes: insomnia, intrusive thoughts, despair, and even breakdowns. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist, spoke of the shadow, those parts of ourselves we deny or repress. The operation, in its relentless pursuit of purity, can bring the shadow to the fore, sometimes with frightening intensity. Rather than meeting the angel, the seeker may be confronted by the monsters of their own unconscious. Have you ever spent prolonged time alone with your thoughts? Did you find enlightenment, or did the silence reveal hidden fears? Beyond the physical, the book presents dangers of a spiritual order. The practitioner, having achieved communion with the angel, is instructed to summon and command 12 kings and dukes of hell. The text is unequivocal. These are not benign entities, but forces to be bound with utmost caution. Across Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, there are dire warnings against the summoning of spirits. Demons, jinn, and similar beings are considered cunning and perilous. The risk is not merely of obsession, where a spirit attaches itself and whispers lies, but of outright possession, where the self is overwhelmed. Historically, tales abound of magicians meeting untimely ends or descending into madness after meddling with such forces. Crowley's Boleskine house, after his interrupted operation, became infamous for hauntings, misfortunes, and tragedy. Whether these were the work of spirits, psychological unraveling, or mere coincidence, the impact was undeniable. Some modern practitioners report nightmares, poltergeist phenomena, or a persistent feeling of malign presence. Whether one interprets these as supernatural or psychological, the distress is real. Perhaps the most insidious danger is pride. The operation dangles the promise of power over oneself, over spirits, over fate. The temptation to arrogance, to believe oneself chosen or above ordinary mortals, is ever present. Many spiritual traditions warn that pride is the quickest road to ruin. Do you believe the greatest dangers are external, or do we carry our own demons within us? Magical dangers, backlash, and unintended consequences. Let us turn now to the hazards peculiar to the practice of magic. The Book of Abramelin asserts that magic is not to be trifled with. The magical squares, those cryptic grids of letters, promise much: wealth, love, invisibility, vengeance, but the book is replete with dire warnings. Using the magic squares for selfish or malicious ends, or without the angel's guidance, and disaster may ensue. Many magical traditions speak of the law of return, that what is sent out returns, often magnified. The magician who seeks to curse another, or to manipulate fate for selfish ends, risks calamity. Crowley's life, after abandoning the Abramelin operation, was marked by misfortune. The death of his wife, the loss of friends, financial hardship, and a reputation for being cursed. Whether these were the result of magical backlash, psychological guilt, or chance is a matter of debate. Others have reported years of bad luck, ill health, or inexplicable misfortune following incomplete or bungled rituals. For the skeptic, this may be the result of anxiety and self-fulfilling prophecy. For the believer, it is a cautionary tale writ large. The book insists that only those of pure heart, guided by the angel, may wield these powers safely. Have your own actions ever brought unforeseen consequences? In magic, as in life, intention is everything. The sacrifices demanded by the operation are not limited to the realm of spirit or mind. Few can afford to withdraw from the world for months on end. The practitioner risks loss of employment, strained relationships, and isolation from friends and family. The secrecy required can breed suspicion and mistrust. In centuries past, those who practiced magic faced persecution by church and state, sometimes with fatal consequences. Today, the risks are subtler but no less real. Ridicule, discrimination, and social alienation. Practitioners often report loneliness and a sense of estrangement. The operation's strictures can lead to the loss of meaningful connections and, in some cases, irreparable damage to careers and reputations. Secrecy, while occasionally prudent, can become its own prison, fostering paranoia and dishonesty. What would you sacrifice for a higher calling? Where is the line between dedication and self-destruction? The perils of misinterpretation and shortcuts. An often overlooked hazard lies in the misreading or misapplication of the book itself. The Book of Abramelin is written in archaic, sometimes ambiguous language. Over the centuries, errors have crept in through copying and translation. The magical squares, especially, may have been corrupted or incompletely transmitted. In our own age, abridged and simplified versions proliferate online, often omitting crucial safeguards or context. Some claim to condense the operation into weeks or days, sidestepping the original's arduous requirements. Tradition warns that incomplete or corrupted rituals can be more dangerous than none at all. The magician risks confusion, disappointment, or even disaster. True spiritual traditions value accurate transmission. Shortcuts, however tempting, can strip rituals of their meaning and safety. How important is tradition in your own spiritual or personal pursuits? What is lost when we forsake the slow, careful path for expedience? Part 3. Context and comparison, cultural dangers, the shadow of power, and the occult. The dangers of the Book of Abramelin are not solely individual, they are cultural. The book promises mastery over spirits, over fate, over one's own soul. Such promises are seductive. Throughout history, the pursuit of power without wisdom has led to hubris, exploitation, and tragedy. The legend of Faust, who bartered his soul for knowledge and pleasure, is ever relevant. In the modern world, the temptation for power and quick fixes is everywhere. From social media to self-help gurus, we are encouraged to seek shortcuts to mastery. The operation is, at its best, a path to humility and service. At its worst, it is an invitation to spiritual arrogance. For what do you seek power? For growth, for service, or for control? The answer shapes not just your path, but your destiny. Comparisons, other traditions, and their dangers. The hazards embedded in the Book of Abramelin are echoed in many spiritual disciplines. The Christian mystics of the desert spoke of acedia, spiritual desolation, pride, and the risk of delusion. Sufi dervishes warn of the nafs, the lower self, and the danger of being deceived by one's own desires or by jinn. In Buddhism, intensive meditation can trigger Zen sickness, a breakdown of the self that can lead to confusion and despair. Shamans, too, undergo initiations marked by isolation, fasting, and encounters with spirits, often at considerable personal risk. The lesson is clear. Every tradition recognizes that the pursuit of spiritual power is fraught with peril. The greater the reward, the greater the risk. What do other paths teach us about the dangers and the necessary safeguards of seeking transformation? Modern perspectives, psychology, science, and the occult. How do contemporary thinkers interpret the dangers of the Abramelin operation? Many psychologists see the ritual as a process of individuation, a journey towards integrating the various aspects of the self, including the shadow. The spirits and visions are, in this view, archetypes rather than literal beings. Stanislav Grof and others have written about spiritual emergencies, crises triggered by intense mystical experiences or practices. Symptoms may include hallucinations, paranoia, and breakdown, but with proper support, they may lead to growth. Belief has its own power. Expecting danger can create genuine distress, a phenomenon known as the nocebo effect. Conversely, belief in the efficacy of ritual can sometimes bring about real healing. Therapists and spiritual teachers today emphasize the importance of preparation, support, and integration. The solitary seeker is at greatest risk. Have you ever undergone a crisis as a result of spiritual or personal work? Were there any individuals who supported you through it? Part 4. Case Studies and Testimonies. Aleister Crowley and the Boleskine Operation. No examination of the Book of Abramelin is complete without the tale of Aleister Crowley at Boleskine House. In 1899, Crowley took residence at Boleskine, a remote manor on the shores of Loch Ness. There, he planned to perform the full operation, a feat rarely attempted. For months, he adhered to the regimen: isolation, ritual, purity. But circumstances intervened. Crowley was called away to Paris to resolve disputes within the Golden Dawn. He left the operation unfinished, a grave error according to the book's warnings. Afterwards, Boleskine became infamous for strange occurrences: servants driven to madness, unexplained accidents, whispers of ghosts. Crowley's own life descended into chaos: failed marriages, the deaths of loved ones, addiction, and persistent tales of curses and hauntings. Whether these events were supernatural, psychological, or coincidental, they serve as a powerful warning. The path of Abramelin is not to be undertaken lightly. Other practitioners, success, failure, and mystery. Crowley was not alone in his attempts. Samuel Liddell. MacGregor Mathers, who translated the book into English, is rumored to have attempted the operation, with ambiguous results. Modern magicians, such as Lon Milo Duquette, have tried modified versions, reporting moments of insight, but also difficulty. On contemporary forums, anonymous seekers share their experiences. Some emerge with a sense of renewal, others with confusion, regret, or even fear. In rare cases, practitioners claim to have completed the operation and achieved profound transformation, but these accounts, like the book itself, are often shrouded in mystery. The common thread is clear. The operation is as dangerous as it is alluring. Few are truly prepared for the journey it demands. Part 5. Integration and Reflection. The allure of the operation. Why try? Given all these dangers, why do people still attempt the Book of Abramelin? For some, it is the ultimate adventure, a test of will, faith, and discipline. The promise of direct communion with the divine, of uncovering one's true self, is a powerful lure. Yet the price is steep. Months of solitude, the risk of madness, the threat of spiritual and social ruin. For many, the allure is not the promise of power, but the hope of transformation. The operation is, at its core, a quest for meaning, a journey to the heart of the self. Advice and safeguards. Walking the path with wisdom. If you feel drawn to this work, how might you proceed wisely? First, study deeply. Do not rush. Understand the history, the context, and the real demands of the operation. Seek support, trusted mentors, peers, or therapists. Do not attempt the journey in total isolation. Know your own mind, your strengths and vulnerabilities. Be honest with yourself about your readiness. Above all, approach the work with humility. Pride and haste are the quickest routes to disaster. Finally, take time to integrate what you learn. The operation is not a race, but a process of unfolding. Final reflections, dangers, rewards, and the human quest. The Book of Abramelin is both a beacon and a warning. Its potential for transformation is immense, but so too is its capacity for destruction. The path to wisdom is a razor's edge. Balance, humility, and discernment are essential. Whatever your path, whether magical, religious, or secular, may you journey with courage, wisdom, and compassion. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of the dangers and mysteries of the Book of Abramelin. May your own journey, whatever shape it takes, lead you to greater understanding and peace. If you've enjoyed this exploration of the Book of Abramelin, please consider subscribing and sharing it with friends who might also be intrigued by the mysteries of the occult. Your support helps this journey continue. Thank you for listening.